you have to have any more of these city ones? Not right this second, but
I do not.
Good afternoon. Believe that we're now live. Is that confirmed?
We're live indeed.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Councillor Will Cole Hamilton, and today I'll be acting as acting mayor in place of Mayor Wells, who's not able to be here today for the council meeting of October 4th, 2021. I'd like to begin by respectfully acknowledging the land on which we gather is the unceded traditional territory of the Comox First Nation. And starting off, our first item today is adoption of minutes.
I can adopt the minutes of September 27, 2021 from our regular council meeting.
second that.
Okay, it's been seconded. All those in favor? Okay, and also in favor, so that's unanimous. There are no late items or any delegations today. So we'll begin with the staff report from Development Services. The updated proposal on zoning amendment bylaw number 3017, 801 Ryan Road. And if someone would like to move receipt.
Receipt.
Second.
Okay, and I'll pass that over to Mr. Fitzgerald if you'd like to sort of lead us off on the staff report.
Sure. Thanks a lot. Excuse me. So through the CAO to Mayor and Council. So this is a rezoning application to facilitate a 247 unit apartment development. The council will remember that this was first considered at the September 7th meeting. At that meeting, council deferred consideration, requesting additional information on the affordable housing amenity offer, as well as additional information on the green space design throughout the site. The developer has responded to what they heard at that meeting and provided a letter, which is attached in the staff report. They responded by outlining a plan to dedicate 10% of the units as affordable units, with rents set at 30% of what's called the housing income limit publication, which is a publication that East Housing puts out every year. And this agreement would last for a period of 10 years. The applicant has also updated the site plan to increase the size of the central green space, and that also added a fenced dog run and seating area to this green space. As well, the back of the site, a playground has been added, as well as community garden plots. Staff are recommending that council gives these bylaws first and second reading tonight, and that a public hearing is scheduled. And with that, I can take any questions, but I know the applicant team is here, and I believe they wanted to speak to the application as well. Maybe I'll turn it over to them.
That would be perfect. Thanks.
Thanks, Matthew. Good evening. I'm here tonight with Trevor Dickey, our vice president. We're our vice president of real estate. We're traveling today, and Chris Millman, our CEO, is joining us. He's in Campbell River. He's on the phone here, so he's available to answer any questions as well. So as Matthew stated, we're back here again tonight after our September 7th council meeting, where council had asked us to reconsider our affordable housing contribution. So we had a chat with the city staff and are proposing to designate 25 units, which is 10%, 25 units to be designated into a below market rental pool for a period of 10 years. But I think the bigger picture here is the 247 units that we're trying to bring to market. So when we talk about housing affordability and housing availability, supply matters. There are people that can't afford market rents, and bringing units, market rental units to the market then frees up some of those other units and prevents people from overcrowding, the more affordable units that people of lesser means can afford. People do want to move up the rental ladder. So these 247 units that we're trying to bring to the market will assist Courtenay in providing more housing and also more affordable housing. As Matthew mentioned, we also made some changes to the site plan. So we had, I think, one or two councillors mentioned that They would like to see maybe some less parking on the site. So I'm just going to share my screen so I can highlight. Okay. Why is it asking me this? Bear with me here. Well, I did a test run before council meeting started and this worked. So unfortunately, I don't know if IT is here, but it's not giving me an option to share the screen. So as Matthew highlighted, we took a look at the parking lot and we did remove about around 13 stalls, I believe is what we removed. And we were able to reconfigure some of the green space. And so we moved our dog run from the bottom corner into to be located near our entrance. So one of the benefits of moving that dog run from that corner is we now have a larger area for rainwater gardens and stormwater management. And then we strategically removed some of the parking stalls, so we were able to make larger parking lot islands that will allow us to plant more substantial plantings, larger trees, for example. And then in that panhandle piece, we added the community garden and we also added a playground there. So thank you. That's a short presentation here. We look forward to any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Now we'll just council for questions. Councilor William, just a second. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Mayor, and thanks to staff and the proponents for the presentation and for the flexibility demonstrated in bringing this revised proposal forward. I did have two questions. Perhaps first to staff, is the proposal to dedicate 25 units, is that a substitute for the previous cash allocation, or is it as well as?
Thanks for the question through CAO to Mayor and Council. So our revised offer would be a substitute to the cash offer. So there wouldn't be a cash offer in addition to what was outlined just prior to this.
All right, so there's no cash amenity for the units, but this is basically instead of. Thanks for that. My other question, and again, this is probably to staff, but if the proponent wants to comment, that's fine too. Could you just clarify the change in the parking allocation and how that calculus works out in terms of what was proposed before, which presumably was considered adequate, and the lesser amount that's proposed now? I'm certainly pleased to see the addition of the green space amenities, but I just wonder what the impact is on parking and how that's rationalized.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So if you look at page 23 of the agenda package, you can see the site plan, and in the I guess behind building A, there's a parking area and a green space at the edge of that parking area. So as part of the revised proposal, parking stalls were removed from that area and converted to green space, which enlarged that area, but did reduce the amount of parking by 13 stalls. The resultant a ratio of parking to units does decrease a little bit as a result, which is factored into the revised bylaw. I don't know if the applicant has anything further to add on any changes to the number of parking stalls.
Yes, I can. Thank you through the CEO to Mayor and Council. So based on our own internal parking statistics and what we anticipate to be the demand here, we would anticipate that we would need approximately 1.1 to 1.2 stalls per unit. That's what we know internally we need so that we don't underpark our site. And right now at 300 stalls with 247 units, that is 1.21 stalls per unit. So we're very comfortable and very confident that this site is not over or under parked at all for our management needs and the tenants' needs.
Thanks very much, and I'll just comment, Mr. Acting Mayor, that I don't have any problem with seeing this go forward to a public hearing. Very interested in the comments of the people impacted in the neighborhood. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Councillor Hillian. And next up, we have Councillor Theos.
Thanks, Acting Mayor. Thank you very kindly for being here and making your presentation, in which there are some adjustments that you obviously took a lot of time and consideration to bring this forward. And from my perspective, I do like the fact that that these prices in 10% of these units at least are coming down, because to me the stress is where the comment at the last meeting that this was brought forward at of $1,400 for one bedroom really did not resonate very well with the general public in comments that I was hearing, and in what I saw in social media and whatnot. Did not go over very well at all, because reality is that the $1,400 and above, starting at one bedroom, very few can afford it, and there's so much frustration and stress in our community, as I would assume is many communities across our province are facing. So for me, this is a good step forward, is to actually have a percentage of the units at least at prices that in this case under $1,000 for some of the one bedrooms. Obviously that's much better than the $1,400. But now my question becomes, how do we get that on a larger scale so we can actually really have impact on the community as a whole, where people can actually find more affordable rentals? And what I'm asking in regards to that is it DCCs that, if they were brought down in the price of DCCs, or any other kind of cost such as that, would that be able to then mean that you could bring maybe 100% of these units to a price that is reasonable for people in our community to afford? That's the one question I have. And just a comment on on that affordability is that we're looking at a circumstance where our community, and it's stated here that a new building that was approved just recently across from you, again, is $1,400 for one bedroom units. And since a number of these buildings have been brought forward in our community, and many units added to our community, because you had mentioned about the fact that it's going to take stress off the pricing because of the fact that there's going to be a larger inventory. But unfortunately, from what I've been noticing, is that it's actually worked a little bit in reverse. And I was completely believing the way you were talking, is that adding more units means less stress on our and more inventory and less stress on our market. But I think one of the challenges is when the buildings such as this and the one beside it come in at $1,300 or $1,400 for one bedroom, other buildings in the community, when they become available, older buildings even, now they're saying, hey, this community is now asking for $1,400 for a one bedroom unit. We're going to ask the same. So it's almost raised the cost of other buildings that were here for a long time that were charging much less. But they're saying, hey, the going rate now is this $1,400. So I'll just leave that with you. But if you can answer the question, I'd appreciate it very much.
Maybe I'll start off, Rachel, and then I'll pass it to you. I guess from a staff perspective, we look at as one of the key drivers of pressure to increase rental rates is just the vacancy rate. And if you remember in the original staff report, it outlined kind of a chronically low vacancy rate, which hasn't improved in the last few years. And with very few units on the market, that does lead to pressures to increase rental rates, regardless of development costs. Maybe I can turn it over to the developer and they can speak about that in more detail.
Yes, thank you. Through the CEO to mayor and council. Yes, housing affordability is a problem in Courtenay, it's a problem in Campbell River, it's a problem across BC and across Canada. And while as a property management company, we set the rental rates, we also don't set the rental rates. The market sets the rates. So when you're seeing a project across the street from us charging $1,300 or $1,400 and ourselves and other products charging $1,300 or $1,400, that's what the market is selling those units for. And when you have older product or inferior product raising the rental rates, that's not because, or I would argue that that's not because they're seeing what other people are getting and charging the same. It's more a symptom of a chronic undersupply of purpose-built rental units in the city. And again, it's just a simple supply and demand problem. So again, very simply, I can state that supply does matter. And I think that most cities are having difficulty getting enough units to market quickly enough for the numbers of people that are moving to the communities. I don't know if you have anything to add, Trevor?
No,
Okay.
I think you covered it.
Thank you.
No, that was great, Rachel.
Thanks, Chris.
Sorry, acting there. Thank you, Rachel. I really appreciate that answer, and Matt, definitely appreciate your answer also. And it's true, but what you were saying, my question though, in regards to what can communities do to actually help you bring that price down? And again, I was asking about DCCs. I mean, how can we see to the point where we can actually have all these units, the one bedrooms under $1,000? You know, is there an avenue that you could see as developers that could help us reach that point at some point in the future?
Councillor Theos, I see that our CAO was going to jump in
So
for a
through
comment.
the acting mayor to Councillor Theos, the question on DCCs, there's not a relationship between the rent and DCCs. If we do not charge DCCs for infrastructure capacity, that's general taxation. So that people are paying regardless of that. So focusing on DCCs and the relationship to the rental cost, the total has to be paid. So I'm not clear, maybe the developer could speak to how they calculate their rental rates, but the application of DCCs, I think we need to be really clear, is that DCCs are charged on capacity that's added into the system. And if it's not paid for by the developer, then general taxation within the city of Courtenay has to pay for those costs to expand water treatment, wastewater treatment, drainage, etc. So although they're a cost for a developer to build a building, if that wasn't attributed to that building, they would pay a share as a taxpayer, future taxpayers in the development of land in the city. And that's the purpose of development cost charges, that the new development would carry that weight as opposed to the general taxpayer. So the development cost charge bylaw hasn't been reviewed I just was actually speaking with our approving officer about that in the past period of time. 2023, our DCCs are supposed to be reviewed. And so we can do some fine tuning or some adjustment and add projects into that DCC eligibility that would you know, kind of maybe work towards the overall application of those costs.
Thanks very much, CAO. I'm not sure if the proponents want to add anything to those comments or perhaps we move on.
Yes, I can just add and say that those are good questions, and I think that those are bigger discussions that council needs to have amongst council. That's I think more of a policy question than asking us directly how we can help. But I think it's a good question, and developers can be a part of that solution. Private developers can be a part of the solution along with other partners.
Great, thanks very much.
Rachel. Thanks, CEO.
All right, thanks, Councillor Theos. And I'm going to move on to Councillor Frisch.
Yeah, thanks, Acting Mayor. And thanks to staff and to the proponents for coming back with the revised proposal. And also thanks for your time, getting, obviously it's a big part for you guys. You're kind of in the middle of the affordable housing crisis. So thanks for your time and your thoughts on, finding solutions. Obviously it's a massive problem. It's got global implications and forces. And but I think in short about your proposal, what I do like is that it addresses that as best as you can or you're willing to, and I think it's a good proposal. Just off the cuff, we're looking at about $150,000 per year off of rents, and that I think is really substantial. So I appreciate that. And regarding the changes to the parking and the green space, I'm really encouraged to see you paying attention to that transportation demand management policy ideas that are moving forward, and I'm happy to see this move forward. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Councillor Frisch and Councillor Moore. Let me just get your mic on.
This one's on.
Oops. Okay. Sorry, I realized we've all traded spots a bit.
Okay,
There we
there we
go.
Yeah, sorry, musical chairs here. Yeah, just briefly, I'm really pleased to see the adjustments that have been made. And particularly around obviously having the below market units provided. So I'm interested to see what happens at the public hearing. I'm hoping that people will be positive about this. This is one development. We can't expect every, one developer to solve the problems of, the complex problems of this situation. But to me, it points in the right direction, and I believe this contribution is far surpasses in money what would have been in the last one. So I think that's really promising, and we'll see what happens at the public hearing. Thanks. We can go that route.
Thanks very much, Councillor Martin. I think I may just briefly weigh in. I just wanted to say I was really pleased to see this come back, and I wanted to thank our staff and our developer, the proponent here, for engaging in a really robust and sort of good faith discussion about the things that we raised. Certainly 10% of the units, that's 25 units, will be a considerable number of below market rental units to be putting out to the city of Courtenay. And for people watching, so the reduced prices being proposed would be below 1,000, it'd be 987 for a 1-bedroom and 1,225 for a 2-bedroom. So a fairly substantial reduction from the numbers we're seeing. And as Councillor Frisch referenced, that sort of in a single year, that rent reduction would be fairly much equivalent to the entire contribution that had been proposed before, the cash contribution. So with 10 years running, that's a considerable long-term contribution to affordability in the city. I also was appreciative of the change, the increase in green space, and the 3 particular facilities, the playground, dog walk area, and community garden. And the only question I had is the units that the 25 units, would I be right in assuming that these are sort of reflective of the overall mix of units in the development as a whole? That's my question.
Yes, thank you. Through the CEO to Mayor and Council, we have taken a stab at selecting some units, and right now our proposal would be 10 2-bedroom units and 15 1-bedroom units to be designated into the below market pool.
Okay, well, thank you. I think that number of 2-bedroom units will be of assistance, because that's a considerable addition to the market. Those are the questions that I had, and I'm certainly, I think at this point, happy to see this go to a public hearing to get some more input from our community. So once again, thank you to staff, thank you to the developer for managing to come back so quickly with such a kind of a comprehensive reworking of things. And at this point, I'll entertain a motion. I guess we have a motion for receipt on the table. All those in favor? I'm in favor as well, so that's unanimous. And Motion,
Want to vary the agenda, or do you want to just move on and catch it at the end?
No, we've got it right here. the
Oh.
recommendation.
so if someone wants to move the recommendation?
I need access to the microphone.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Councillor Hillian. Just looking at the green icon here. There we go.
I'll move the recommendation that based on the October 4th, 2021 staff report, updated proposal zoning amendment bylaw number 3017, 801 Ryan Road, and the September 7th, 2021 staff report zoning amendment bylaw number 3017, 801 Ryan Road. Council approve option 1 and complete the following steps. 1, that council give first and second readings of zoning amendment bylaw number 3017, 2021. 2, that council direct staff to schedule and advertise a statutory public hearing with respect to the above referenced bylaw. And 3, that final agreement of the bylaw be withheld pending the registration of section 219 covenant and housing agreement.
Second that.
Okay,
And if I could just make one comment, Acting Mayor.
yes. That's right. Let me just run there. Yeah.
Thank you. I expect one of the questions that will come up at the public hearing will be related to what process may be used to determine who gets access to the units that are set at market rates, below market rates. I don't expect an answer on that today, but perhaps that's something that could be included when the proponent actually presents to the public hearing, as they will have an opportunity to do.
Thanks for that observation, Councillor Hillian. So we have a motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded. So all those in favor? As well, so that makes that unanimous. So we'll move on to the next item, which is financial services, the audit service plan for year ending December 31st, 2021. And I'll take a motion for receipt.
Okay. I was going to move the motion, but
Let's do that.
would you prefer receipt?
No, happy to have the motion moved.
Okay, I'll move that based on the October 4th, 2021 staff report, audit service plan for year ending December 31st, 2021. Council approve option 1 to receive the audit service plan for the year ending December 31st, 2021.
Seconded.
All right, and I'll turn that over to staff.
Mr. Acting Mayor, Ms. Vaika is available to give a short overview of the staff report.
Thanks, yeah.
Thank you. Through the CEO to Mayor and Council. So the purpose of this report is to communicate the audit service plan. This is an annual requirement under the Canadian auditing standards. This year we have M&P as our accounting firm performing the city's audit, and they prepared this detailed plan for you, which can be found on page 28 through 41 of the agenda. And the audit service plan just outlines the overall audit approach M&P will take this year when conducting our audit in preparation of the 2021 city's consolidated financial statements. And with that said, I'm happy to take any questions you may have. Thank you.
I see Councillor Hillian has a question.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I don't have any questions. I just want to acknowledge our financial staff, Ms. White, Ms. Nelson, and all the others, and the hard work that they do. This is an important part of the yearly financial agenda, and we're totally dependent on our financial department for everything else that we do, and I just want them to know how much their efforts are appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Entirely agree with that sentiment. Thank you, Councillor Hillian, for saying. At this point, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor? And that also passes unanimously. And there are no external reports and correspondence, nor any internal reports or correspondence. So at this point, we're moving to reports from council. I think Councillor Fish said was there anything you wish to raise?
No, I said I didn't.
Yeah,
but-
I thought so. Just wanted to make sure that's still the case. Councillor Hillian? Just a second, let me activate your microphone.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I just wanted to acknowledge that the regional district this week will have on its agenda the report of the study into poverty in the Comox Valley. As council will be aware, the regional district has been able to obtain grant funding for a couple of major pieces of work. The first was related to housing. This one is related to the larger issue of poverty, with housing, of course, being a really significant part. We may see some recommended actions coming out of that. Of course, as our previous discussion earlier tonight demonstrated, the market doesn't necessarily have a solution to our housing challenges. We can hope that the greater supply will result in a downward pressure on rents and such, but it doesn't absolve us of the need to pursue social housing and non-market housing. And hopefully these reports that we have through the work of the regional district and their consultants may point the way to some actions that can help towards that end. So thank you.
Great, thanks, Councillor Helene, for highlighting that. Anyone else, any other reports, Councillor Moran or Councillor Theos?
Well, just in regards to the library board meeting that I attended last week, we did have an introduction to our new CAO of the library board, and his name is Ben Hyman, and he attended his first meeting last week, and he is very open to anybody that wants to have a chat with him about anything related to the library, and look forward to his tenure as library board CAO.
Thanks, Councillor Theos. And Councillor Helene, just a moment.
Thanks again. We're putting you through your paces tonight. I just wanted to thank Councillor Theos for putting me in touch with the new library CAO. We're looking into the issue of the expected renovations to the Courtenay Library, and particularly the accessibility of the washroom, which was an issue with the previous one, and going through the process right now of putting the new CEO in touch with members of the local accessibility committee to talk about that and make sure that their perspective and their experience is taken fully into account when that new building is actually designed and built. So, thank you.
Thanks for noting that, Councillor Helene. And I will just briefly note that last Thursday was the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and a number of members of council and a number of other councils in the Valley, and also the school board, were there as part for the Spirit Walk, which took place for a period of 7 hours through downtown Courtenay. And I participated in the walk on 2 different occasions with different groups of people, and it was beautiful to see this sort of ribbon of orange threading its way through downtown Courtenay, and it just went on and on and on, hour after hour. There was a huge turnout by the community. I think it was this is, I think, what the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation was meant to be about coming together, about stopping and reflecting. And I was just pleased to see the number of people in our community who were taking the opportunity to be part of that.
Well said.
And thank you. Thanks, Councillor William. And with that, we move to resolutions of council. Would anyone like to move this?
I can move that if you like.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Moran.
I'll move that a special,
Sorry.
oh, sorry.
Sorry, you've now got 2 mics.
I'll move that a special in-camera meeting closed to the public will be held October 4th, 2021, at the conclusion of the regular council meeting pursuant to the following subsections of the community charter: 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at the preliminary stages, and that, in the view of the council, could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public.
Second.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Moran. My apologies for the mic issue there for a moment. So that's been first and seconded. All those in favor? I'm in favor as well, so that's unanimous. There's no unfinished business and no notice of motion, so and no new business. So we'll move on to bylaws. Just get your mic there, Councillor Frisch.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll move that zoning amendment bylaw number 3017, 2021 for 801 Ryan Road, which is a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2500, 2007 to create a new comprehensive development zone and rezone land use from commercial 1A zone to comprehensive development 32 zone, and that schedule number 8 zoning map be amended accordingly. I move that pass first and second reading.
Second,
Great. Any comments on that? Seeing none, it's been first and seconded. All those in favor? And that passes first and second reading unanimously. And the last piece of business today, or second last, is something for final adoption. If anyone wants to move that, Councillor Hillian.
Okay, sorry.
You want
No, go ahead. Your light is on.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I move that Development Application Procedures Amendment Bylaw number 3052, 2021, a bylaw to amend Development Application Procedures Bylaw number 2790, 2014, by replacing all references to the Director of Development Services with quotes, Director responsible for overseeing development services, or in their absence, the Chief Administrative Officer. I believe there's an "of" in there. There's probably redundant, end quote, be finally adopted.
Second.
Okay, thank you. So anyone wishing to speak on that? Seeing no one, it's been moved and seconded. So all those in favor? All right, and I'm in favor as well. So that's unanimous. And at this point, we'll accept a motion for termination.
Move adjournment.
Oh, adjournment, thank you. And that's been seconded. All those in favor? Okay, and we are adjourned.
Thanks, Acting Mayor.
Good job, Acting Mayor.
That's it. Less than 40.
We're still live.
I'll just, you'll be off live in a second.